breaking news if you have hybristophilia, if you are sexually attracted to felons and criminals. I'm looking at you, liberal white women. Federal indictment for CEO's alleged assassin. Luigi Mangione, age 26, has been formally indicted on federal charges by a New York grand jury. These charges include 2 counts of stalking, a firearms offense, and murder through the use of a firearm in connection with the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This legal action makes Mangione eligible for the death penalty, with Attorney General Pam Bondi planning to pursue this sentence, despite opposition from Mangione's legal team. It's from Libs of TikTok, everyone's favorite based right-wing account. Breaking. Luigi Mangione indicted on federal charges in UHC CEO killing, which makes him eligible for the death penalty if convicted. It's kind of insane. Now, last time we covered him, we were warned of this scenario. Not that it was going to happen, but that it was a potentiality. This is true. I have hooked up with chicks because I look like Richard Ramirez, apparently. Wow, that's some crazy physiognomy. Good for you. Good for you, though. So this is the kicker right here. This is what we call the crowd pleaser. The final charge makes Mangione eligible for the death penalty if convicted. It's the murder through the use of a firearm.
A federal grand jury here in New York has returned a 4-count indictment against alleged healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione. The 26-year-old is charged with 2 counts of stalking.
It's not him. The eyebrows are different. It's not him. Free Luigi.
Firearms offense and murder through the use of a firearm. The charges now make him eligible for the death penalty. Attorney General Pam Bondi has already signaled her intention to pursue the death penalty, which his lawyers are actively trying to stop.
If he gets the guillotine, the chop, the no respawn, the chair, the squad, the injection, he dies a martyr in many people's eyes. And I don't think that's good.
United Healthcare Chief Brian Thompson was killed outside the Hilton in Midtown last December.
Here we got an article by CNN. Unsealed the charges against Mangione late last year, but he had not yet been indicted on these charges until now. Mangione has previously pleaded not guilty to New York State charges of murder and terrorism. That's a crazy charge. Terrorism? Spokesman for Mangione had no comment when reached by CNN Thursday. Earlier this month, after the Justice Department said they would seek the death penalty, Mangione's attorney, Karen Friedman Agnafilo, said, "We are prepared to fight these federal charges brought by a lawless Justice Department, as well as the New York State charges and the Pennsylvania charges, and anything else they want to pile on Luigi." What do we think? I don't even know how do you defend against this? It seems like all these cases that are being thrown into the spotlight are borderline I'm not paying CNN, clown. You're not going to get my email address. We saw the dude murk the guy in cold blood. There is literal footage. 4K surround sound, Dolby Digital, IMAX, 3D glasses experience. Bang, bang, bang. I don't know how you defend against that. Do you say it's not him? Do you say that's self-defense? How is that self-defense? He wasn't even looking at him. He shot him in the back. He got back shots from Luigi. That's crazy. And you have insane alt-leftists defending this behavior. All because they're too poor to afford health insurance. That's a skill issue. Sorry, I gotta pay health insurance. Do I place all my trust in the system? No shot. This is a PvP world, and I'm here to win. All right, so the New York State case is up first. The shooting and subsequent days-long manhunt captured national attention as investigators shared details of Mangione's alleged writings and words on bullets found at the scene. What I want to know is, remember all the hoopla about a backpack in Central Park and how he had this genius manifesto, but it was lazily written on a Starbucks napkin slop that made no coherent sense? It's a little goofy. The first-degree murder charge alleges he killed the executive in furtherance of an act of terrorism, which is legally defined as the intent to intimidate or coerce the civilian population or a government unit. That's true. That's actually what was intended. Down with the whole system. Anarchy. You're not safe, CEOs. It was to instill fear. That's why you had all the CEOs changing their profile pics, turning into ghosts. And a lot of people the first time didn't like my take that CEOs are not responsible for all of the directions that a company takes. They're not. That's simply a fact. I, unlike you, like to use logic. These things are bureaucratic by nature. Red tape, multiple decisions. It's not one man steering the ship. Even at Third Eye Global, you think it's just me. Wait till you see the absolute rogues that have my back. When he was arrested after being spotted in a Pennsylvania McDonald's, law enforcement recovered a ghost gun and a notebook full of writings that they have said revealed a well-planned homicide involving stalking his alleged victim. Well, there you have it. I'm bringing you the latest and greatest news here at Third Eye Global. And this is from a leftist news source, so I don't even want to hear it. Now we're going to watch Piers Morgan chop it up with Taylor Lorenz, who recently went viral in a clip on Twitter for glazing Luigi, which ties back into the phenomenon known as hybristophilia, or the uncanny attraction to villains of our society that is exhibited by women. I don't know that there's many men that are attracted to, say, a Harley Quinn domestic terrorist that there are women to Luigi Mangione. Like, there's an account, Mug Shawties, right? Like, men can recognize conventional attractiveness. Like, yeah, she's kind of bad. But once you learn about the crimes that the person committed, some women just get hornier, and that's preposterous. I don't even think Machiavelli covers that in The Prince. Maybe Jordan Peterson talks about that, but it's bizarre, and it's indefensible, to be honest. Let's find the clip of Taylor Lorenz first.
Hilarious to see these millionaire media pundits on TV clutching their pearls about someone standing a murderer when this is the United States of America, as if we don't lionize criminals, as if we don't have...
Yeah, but we shouldn't. That's the whole point.
You know, we don't stand murderers of all sorts, and we give them Netflix shows. There's a huge disconnect between...
I mean, educating the people through an art form or medium, such as a show, is not inherently glorification. Writing love letters and begging for Luigi backshots and holding up signs, free Luigi, while wearing a Nintendo Luigi hat crosses the line for me.
The narratives and the angles that sort of mainstream media pushes and what the American public feels. And you see that in moments like this. And I can tell you, I saw the biggest audience growth that I've ever seen, because people were like, oh, some journalist is actually speaking to the anger that we feel.
The women who gather outside court in New York.
So you're gonna see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems this morally good man.
Morally good man. Assassin. Murdered a father in cold blood? Premeditated? Stalked a guy? Morally good. Where are you basing your morality from? We have strayed so far from God.
Which is hard to find.
Yeah, I just realized women will literally...
Like, that's an insane comment. If you're that lost in the sauce, Luigi is your definition of a morally good man? That's fatherless, motherless, that's parentless, I don't even think you go outside. I don't even think you have real life experience. I don't even think you have a pulse. In fact, I think that's rather inhuman. It's demonic. It's reptilian.
Assassin before they swipe right on me. That's where we are. I'm sure you wouldn't like to be compared to a Trump supporter. But some of how people cannot understand why people have sympathies for Mangione strikes me as the same as a lot of media not
somebody tell Big Bro this ain't Riz.
Understanding why people support Trump.
I totally agree.
It's because a lot of people are just really, really desperate.
They want somebody.
Why are you comparing Trump to Luigi? I mean, as far as I know, there's not a video of Trump murdering somebody in the streets of Manhattan.
Take on the system. They want somebody to...
That's a false equivalency. That's a logical fallacy. Got a tweet from Asmongold. The only people who support Luigi are mentally ill young women who are attracted to him. If he was a fat neckbeard, they'd want him to face the death penalty. That is what we call physiognomy and the black pill. It's true. It's true. People are moved to emotion based on the way that people look. And that's a fact. Now let's watch her perform mental gymnastics trying to defend this some more.
Keep reverting back to the system that makes them do it.
You want me to condemn every, random person in America?
Is this Stockholm Syndrome? Is this Munchausen by proxy? What faculties are we dealing with here?
America that feels sympathetic to a serial killer?
Yeah, I do.
Piers, I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm sorry, Taylor. We tried. We tried to give you an out.
Well, prominent Republicans, including Ted Cruz and Elise Stefanik, have been quick to condemn an arson attack on Governor.
People assign positive traits to people that are physically attractive automatically. Why do you think I have so much aura?
Josh Shapiro's residence, explicitly saying it doesn't matter if it was perpetrated by someone on the left or the right, it was just wrong. To mark contrast to the refusal of figures like Chuck Schumer to criticize the vandalism of Teslas by protesters angry about Elon Musk. But nothing makes this point better than the perverse celebration of Luigi Mangione, who could now face the death penalty for executing in cold blood United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Well, journalist Taylor Lorenz is among those accused of trying to turn him into a modern-day Robin Hood-type figure for his criticism of the US healthcare system. She's making a lot of headlines today for appearing to fangirl over Mangione in a new CNN documentary.
You're going to see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man.
We saw this clip.
Documentary that CNN put out, and I watched the material involving you. It's Tommy Laren is fearless on Outkick. So, Taylor, I've got to say, I watched this documentary that CNN put out, and I watched the material involving you, and I was pretty aghast at the tone that you took in relation to Luigi Mangione, because, as I pointed out on X, the guy is an effing cold-blooded killer.
Based, Piers. I'm piercing my Morgan right now.
Somebody who executed somebody who's a father of two, a business executive, and deserves nothing but public opprobrium.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Taylor Lorenz is a poppin' journalist. She's got clout. She's got street cred. This is not just some random. People take her word seriously. It's a shame she doesn't even bench 225.
And to be despised for what he did, notwithstanding any arguments about the current state of healthcare. So here's your chance to explain why you seem to be swooning over the guy.
Well, I think you would have to, take my comments completely out of context to say that I'm swooning over someone.
I definitely picked up on some swooning. Totally swooning.
If you watch the full clip and not just the part that you showed, you would see that I'm talking about the women that are standing outside Luigi's jail, showing up at court. I mean, unfortunately, Piers, I have bad news for you about America, which is that we have a culture that lionizes killers, and we give them Netflix shows, right? There's fangirls for Charles Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, countless murderers, school shooters receive fandom and fan mail. Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who killed her mother, is a woman who received that. So, the idea that there are these cults of fandoms around killers is not something new in America. And what I was describing in that clip is basically the projection that these women are sort of placing on him, and how a lot of these women that do show up outside the court, view him. And actually what you might...
Yeah, but how do you view him, Taylor?
...not hear me say, which is right, what I said right after that, which is that I do think that they're in for a rude awakening when Mangione starts actually talking, because I don't think he can live up to their fantasies. And I think that once he starts opening his mouth and talking about his beliefs, I think we might realize he's not as moral, of a person as we thought. We might have we don't know anything about his motivation.
Yes, we do. He's a psychopath. He got one-shotted by ayahuasca. Many such cases. Tried to heal his back pain, couldn't handle the Mesopotamian demon.
Basically. So, that's
right,
what...
But when I was watching... Right, but Taylor, when I was watching this with you and Donnie O'Sullivan from CNN, who I think he's an excellent reporter, but the tone that you were both adopting as you talked about this, I've got to say, it did not sit well with me. It was all very light-hearted, very frivolous, very, wow, isn't this all a bit of fun? Hey, these crazy girls are all swooning over Mangione and stuff. You're talking about a cold-blooded executioner. This is not somebody that should be viewed in a light-hearted way. I mean, do you regret now the tone that part of the interview was conducted in?
Well, listen, I mean, I think you can tone police all day long. Don't
Listen, if I was on this panel, shut the fuck up, Piers. I'm a man. That's all you gotta say.
And I spoke for over an
Hey, Piers. Hey, Mr. Morgan. How much do you bench?
hour about this.
What was that? Oh, so I don't listen to anyone that benches under 185. I mean, that's. I hear you, but I'm not listening.
What you're watching is a few seconds of a long conversation and, frankly, a long special.
The reality is, if Luigi was ugly, we would have all forgotten by now. If Luigi is considered like a dime, then chat. I mean, I don't want to self-glaze, but all I'm saying is I've seen a lot of Luigis out here in Long Island, New Jersey, New York, tri-state area, okay? He's a dime a dozen.
Everybody should watch. I mean, I think what Donnie produced on CNN is a fantastic look at extremism in America. And Piers, you know...
Which goes to show you how terminally online goblins view attraction. It's skewed.
I would, again, urge you to look at American culture. We are not a culture that treats serial killers or treats murderers or treats shooters the way that you are sort of speaking to it. And I agree with you. Should, every conversation about Luigi be, super serious because death is involved? Sure, maybe we should have a little bit more of a serious tone in some instances. But I don't think that my tone was a huge problem in that clip, because, again, what I'm doing is sort of describing the fandom, which, again, as I said to you as well, that doesn't mean that I agree with these girls that are showing up outside for God knows how many reasons, just the way that I don't agree with.
It wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. That's the main argument here. But it was kind of what she said too.
A lot of women that would send Charles Manson, love letters or selfies or whatever. I don't think that obviously, those two people had similar motivations for killing, but I'll just say again, we don't know why Luigi Mangione has not spoken. And I think that's what's so important to note when we see what people are projecting. So just as those women are projecting on Luigi, Piers, I would encourage you to actually listen to what I'm saying and not project.
Okay, but people will have heard you just now, literally like 2 minutes ago, call him Luigi, like he's some, pop star. He's not Luigi.
His name is Luigi.
He's not your buddy Luigi.
What did you call that's his name?
Talk about cold-blooded. So you call executioners Luigi by their first name, like some pal, do you?
Gypsy Rose. You don't think people call people Gypsy Rose Blanchard? They call her Gypsy Rose. Is that a problem? How would you refer to these people? What name?
The name is kind of clinically unserious. Luigi. I mean,
would you call them?
I'd probably call him Mangione when I'm talking about a bloke who's literally about to go to prison for the rest of his life for a cold-blooded execution.
I will
but Tommy,
refer to him.
let me bring Tommy in, because Tommy's been pulling some exceptionally interesting facial expressions here.
Imagine his name was Waluigi.
Tommy, it just seemed to me the tone. I mean, listen, Taylor can talk about tone police all she likes. The tone of what I watched was nauseating. How did you feel watching?
I just can't believe that this fucking kid rode away on a bicycle. Can we talk about that for a second? A bicycle? How did he even escape in the first place?
Well, Piers, I have to go back to this very show. I think it was, a few months ago when
I can't even get a word out without my astute community displaying their generosity to levels the world unseen. We're going to take over. Mark my words.
we were on with Taylor, and she said that she understood the joy that some people felt when this United Healthcare CEO was murdered in cold blood on a New York City street. So I'm going back to that. So I find it hard, unless Taylor has had this remarkable change of heart. She was one of those fangirls, at least initially. So if she has had a change of heart.
You want to bang him. That's crazy. Cat fight.
I would really love to hear it.
No.
Piers, she was literally gooning over Luigi, I swear.
Nope. Tony, that's not what I said. What I said is that I felt joy that people like Piers, who have never had to deal with our barbaric healthcare system, were finally waking up to the problem.
That's glaze. That's glaze. That's Luigi adjacent glaze. How is that not?
In America, it does not bring me joy to see anybody doing shootings on the streets, because as somebody that's covered gun violence extensively, I understand that that's actually a very terrifying sign of a crumbling democracy, if people just feel like the only way to get their voice heard is through shooting. And I actually think that that's what Donnie's CNN special does very well. It unpacks the fact that so many people feel like violence is the only way to make rich people and people in power listen to them. That's concerning.
The word joy was used to describe anyway a murder, that some people are joyous, or that the fact that this conversation is being brought.
She's joyous. She's happy that people like Piers can now have an epiphany because a guy died.
To the surface, people feel joy in that.
No, it was used to describe.
Well, you're happy that the conversation is being had, and it took somebody's death to bring it there. But I would also say this, Piers, when we're talking about.
Dude, every second that passes, I just appreciate Piers Morgan more and more. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. I used to think he was just like a random ass, mid-tier, mid-wit host. I see the gears turning in his head. This motherfucker knows how to stir the pot.
Yeah, and again, talking about privilege and talking about never having to experience a healthcare system, what I'm missing here, not just with Taylor, but with others that are fangirling or fanboying over Luigi Mangione, is y'all realize, right, that this is a privileged kid. This is not a kid that comes from the inner city. He doesn't come from Appalachia living in a trailer.
Pretty sure he has one of the richest families in Maryland.
Home. This is a privileged kid who murdered, by all accounts, a man who does come from humble beginnings, who was a husband and a father. And it's so bizarre to me that the left is taking this tone. It's not just with this case, it's with so many. It's like,
wait, that's a good point. Is it gears turning in his head, or is it disassociation? Is he not here right now?
If you agree with the end goal here, if you agree that the healthcare system is bad, or if you look at what happened in Frisco, Texas with Carmelo Anthony, who is accused of stabbing a 17-year-old at a track meet, they're like, oh, well, it was a white kid. Oh, if you vandalize or firebomb a Tesla dealership, it's okay because we hate Elon. There's always a but. There's always an excuse. And the same thing when President Trump has had 2 assassination attempts on his...
Oh, she's cooking. She's spitting.
Life. The left is like, oh, well, we don't like assassinations, but we understand it. But he's a Nazi. Why is this the continued narrative from the left?
They can't just condemn something outright. They don't speak in absolutes, because this is postmodernism. It is. When there's no objective truth or reality, everything is subjective. Yeah, he killed the guy, but I want him to blow my back out. Yeah, he shot him. But guess what? He's a hero. He's a morally good man.
It's pretty twisted.
Well, Tommy, can I just say something? I agree. I agree that we're in a very scary time where I would argue on the left and the right, we're seeing...
Piers is fading off that lean. Piers smokes so much gas, he's acting like the Green Goblin out here.
Increasingly violent rhetoric. And that's actually exactly what Donnie's entire CNN special is about. It's about the fact that people on the left and right both...
Piers really has to shit right now.
...feel that they cannot operate within the bounds of our democratic system to get change. And so increasingly, you're seeing people, again, on both the left and the right, turning to violence or advocating for violence. And I think that as anybody that cares about democracy should be concerned about that. And instead of tone policing, they should try to understand the outrage that people feel. I actually think...
Unk is staring into the void.
The right has done a good job of speaking to people's outrage. I think Donald Trump does a good job of harnessing people's outrage. But I think that what we need to pay attention to is the outrage across the political system and say, hey, why are so many people standing killers? Why is one of the biggest memes on the internet about assassinating the president? Why don't we ask those questions and try to understand those things rather than having...
This was literally my expression watching the Content Cop. Oh, so true.
You know, freakouts about the tone of a 2-second CNN clip.
Yeah, but hang on. The reason the tone matters is because when you look like you're just going along with all this as a kind of fascinating cultural phenomenon of art.
It's peak fence-sitter behavior. She won't condemn it, but she'll want to understand it.
Hey, all these girls swooning over the handsome, blah, 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 blah. It's actually nauseating. Imagine being the family of that healthcare executive watching you and Donny. And again, I like Donny. He's a good journalist. He's from Ireland. He's like me. We're Irish. But I just didn't like the whole tone of it. You know, Donny replied at one stage to you, "Yeah, I just realised women will literally date an assassin before they swipe right on me. That's where we're at." And you both laughed. What I didn't see, particularly from you, Taylor, was direct, unequivocal condemnation of this.
That's what I said. It's exactly what I said. You took the words right out of my mouth, Piers. Thanks. Springboarding off that, let's hear what she has to say.
You kind of just went, yeah, isn't it? It's weird, isn't it? Rather than saying, isn't it disgusting that these women are viewing him in this light? Isn't it? Because it reminds me, well, hang on. It reminds me of when we had the Boston Marathon bombing. And you had the Tsarnaev brothers, I was on air at CNN at the time, who had committed one of the most heinous acts of modern times in America. And what was their reward for this? Rather than everyone hating these people, it ended up with them being the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. It was quite extraordinary. And then people again talking about, wow, aren't they good looking? Aren't they charismatic? Aren't they this? Aren't they that? No, they are terrorists who bombed innocent people at a marathon. And I feel the same way about this guy, Luigi Mangione. He's not a handsome, charismatic...
Just ask these people how they would feel if somebody just offed you because they are arbitrarily decide that they're the bad guy. Oh, yeah, I mean, when you have no basis for morality, anything goes.
Freedom fighter, hero.
If everything is subjective, then nothing is true.
He's a disgusting human being who plotted and executed a cold-blooded execution of a father of 2 children. That's what he is. And what I didn't see from you, and you can call me the tone police all you like, but where was the condemnation of this hero worship? It wasn't there.
I really encourage you to rewatch Donny's entire special, Misinfo Nation, on CNN, because I do think
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about your bit.
This is kind of insufferable.
Well, if you see, I'm not just in that clip, I'm in other segments throughout the program. And I will say once again, I just want to stress to people that I don't want to live in a country where the only way that people feel like they can...
But why can't she condemn it? Why is there a but? Just say it's bad.
...be heard is through violence. I think that's incredibly dangerous. I do think people like you and others are dismissing a significant amount of institutional violence in the healthcare system, which is a problem. But that doesn't mean that that's excusing, people that take violence in their own hands to try to change the system. I was 3 feet away from James Fields when he drove through the car and murdered Heather Heyer in Charlottesville. That was horrifying to me. People were glorifying him. People were standing him. Again, this is America. This is not a new thing for us to glorify and stand serial killers. It's just not. And it's part of our culture. And is it a good part of our culture? No, it's probably not a great part of our culture. But we need to look at the motivations.
Probably not. Wait. Sorry to put my tone police hat on again.
Oh my God.
You said probably, as if there's any doubt. But you go on about me being a tone police when you say things like, I think it's probably wrong to idolize serial killers and terrorists. Really? Probably?
Well, yes. It's a bit of a rhetorical statement there, but let's just be clear. No, we don't want to live in a world where serial killers and murderers are...
Oh, you just can't argue with a leftist. You just literally can't.
Idolized above...
That doesn't mean liberal. I'm talking leftist.
So why don't you just condemn it? Condemn it.
Leftist does not mean Democrat. It does not mean liberal.
Unreservedly now. Call out every single person that idolizes these killers right now. Just say, I unreservedly condemn it.
As I've said so many
She won't. She can't do it.
times, I unreservedly condemn the system that we've built where,
the system, not the actions.
People feel like they have to idolize people that commit violence outside the system because they feel like that's the only way they can...
You condemn the system, but you won't condemn the people doing the idolizing.
What, the people doing the idolizing? You mean these random people that show up outside of his court? What do you mean?
Yes.
Yes! What the fuck? Literally, yes.
No,
condemn it. Why is it so hard for you to condemn this and to say it's disgusting?
Yo, this has got to be bait. They definitely had a conversation before this fucking started. There's no way she's this dense.
I repeatedly,
it's appalling.
Let me just say over and over again, I have said so many times on this show that I don't believe people should be walking around shooting people in the street. I think this is a very dangerous time. I think that we are seeing
No, I'm
rising
talking about the
extremism.
people that hero worship these killers. Can you just, for the record, condemn
let me ask
as,
you a question.
as disgusting the people that you keep reverting back to the system that makes them do it. But just condemn them. Just say they're all disgusting.
You want me to condemn every, random person in America that feels sympathetic to a serial killer? I just think it's a
Yes.
completely unproductive argument.
I do.
You're obsessed with me repeating a very specific language and phrase to the point that you're dismissing everything that I'm saying, which I do think, Piers, that we can agree that neither of us wants to live in a country that
Never attribute malice to that which can be explained by stupidity.
the only language that is spoken is violence. And I think, again, I would encourage you to condemn the violence that we're seeing from our healthcare system, that we're seeing these executives perpetuate. You don't condemn that. You don't chastise that. That's not what you're outraged about. You're not having programs outraged about.
Actually, that's total bullshit. I've criticised your healthcare system many, many, many times because I come from a country with a much superior healthcare system where if you fell over in the street in London and broke a leg, you would get free healthcare, world-class healthcare, and sent back on your plane in a nice sling. So you're wrong again. No, I'm bringing Tommy in now. So Tommy, it's very interesting to me because Taylor, doing her usual thing, she calls this killer Luigi, like they're best buddies. She smiles her way through a lot of what she's smiling now as if this is all most entertaining, and yet she cannot condemn the people who hero worship. Hang on, your name's not Tommy. She cannot condemn the people who do all this hero worshipping because they're all apparently victims of a system.
So it's Marxist. This is a post fucking modern nightmare. My daughter Michaela never participates in this fucking bullshit.
Can't help themselves. It's perfectly normal to watch video footage of somebody executing someone in the middle of Manhattan and deduce that they're charming, handsome heroes and freedom fighters. Do you have a problem, Tommy Laren, in calling these people what they are?
No, not at all. And I actually get kind of sick of those, I believe, on the left. Taylor, I don't know if you're necessarily on the left. You're certainly not on the right. But
what kind of American are you?
saying, oh, it's a problem with the left.
Now that's American.
And the right. Yeah, certainly there's violence of those on the right. I'm not going to deny that. But it's the ability of those of us on the right with a platform. We are able to say, that's wrong, that person's gross, that person's sick, that person's a racist, that's disgusting. I have no problem doing it. And I don't go, but but this. Oh, but I don't say a but to that. Anybody that's going to do that. Please do your research. I thought you were a journalist.
These what logical fallacy is that where they just bring up random shit that's not even on the same wavelength? Is that a false equivalency? Is that diversion? Actually, what about January 6th? It's a U2 fallacy or a red herring.
I spoke out about January 6th on January 6th multiple times, so don't come at me with that energy unless you've done your research on me. If you want to cling to January 6th, you can do that all day long.
That's whataboutism. That's what that is.
I condemned it on January 6th, and I've condemned it many, many, many times after that. Okay, so don't start with me on the one bad day for so-called conservatives. Don't come at me with that. But I have no problem talking about the racist, the awful, disgusting people that do things that they believe are in the name of conservatism. I have no problem, and I don't have to be like,
oh, it's called retardation.
well, but the system, no, it's just wrong, just in general. I don't like the 2020 election, but I can say that the people that showed up there and did anything nefarious, I can say that that's wrong and that's bad. Don't do it. I have no problem with that. But you have spent more time talking about the system and how bad it is than talking about the people who are murdering people. Why are you unable to give it that same energy as I think the question Piers and I both have for you?
The healthcare executives that are murdering people?
The healthcare executives are literally not murdering people. This power dynamic where there's always an oppressor and a victim has gotta go. It has no place in intellectual thought. There's no blood on Brian Thompson's hands. Period.
Yes. The healthcare executives, you might not like the system, but Brian Thompson didn't go out and murder anybody. So once again, Piers, she's justifying it again. She sits there and says, I believe for PR purposes, I'm not justifying it. But then like out of the side of her mouth, she's like, but watch me justify it. You keep doing it.
So Tommy, do you believe then that if Brian Thompson is responsible for murder, that that's justified?
No.
Brian Thompson might be a part of an industry or was a part of an industry before he was executed.
I don't think rogue vigilantism is justified. That's not conducive to a healthy society. Oh, where's Batman when you need him?
You don't like. There are a lot of industries in the United States that I don't like. A lot of companies I don't like.
It's a murderous industry. It's an industry that murders people. It's an industry that murders people. So I just want to be clear, and I think this is the discussion that needs to be had and that everybody is having, is that how complicit is somebody that works in a murderous system? If you run a baby killing factory and you get shot, somebody kills you to stop the baby killing factory, is that a moral act? That's what people are debating right now. A lot of the people that stand
Wait.
Where is she going with this?
Taylor, I don't think you want to go there. I don't think you want to go there. I would assume
Out of
Piers.
interest, Taylor, yeah, Tommy?
Piers, I wanted to ask her, I don't know her feelings on abortion, but if you're going to go down that route, I mean, there are a lot of people who don't like Planned Parenthood. I think that you and I would probably agree that going in and murdering somebody that worked for Planned Parenthood would be wrong, right? Because you just said, if someone was doing this, you should stop them. What are you talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. These belief systems where people feel like murder is justified because of their belief system, right? Because of their situation or their whatever, because they feel like they can't work within the system to get change, or they can't change things.
Imagine being a victim maxer. Oh, the system. Oh, I can't do anything. I have no self-agency. Everything is pre-planned and stacked against me. I'm just gonna wither away. All my problems are because of others. Aura deficiency. Take responsibility, bucko. Chest up, shoulders back, clean your fucking room.
Things and fix the system through democratic means is a problem. And I think Donnie, on his special, which I encourage everybody to watch, he does a
I'm literally not watching it. I might, actually, if it's good slop.
Very good job of talking about extremism on the right, which is pervasive, and on the left, and how basically people across the political spectrum have lost faith in the system and are turning to violence. And I'll say it again, one of the biggest
Okay, let me ask you. All right, Taylor.
It's about
Taylor, let me ask you, Taylor.
And you're not even talking about that.
All right, Taylor, Chuck Schumer couldn't bring himself to condemn the attacks on Tesla in terms of Tesla forecourts and Tesla drivers and so on. Would you unreservedly condemn all the attacks?
Well, Piers, the system that Elon is perpetuating, there's Nazis in the street. I get it.
On Tesla?
Was I just on this? I think I was just on this program literally a week ago talking about this topic. I don't think vandalizing a car is equivalent to taking a human life. Has anybody been murdered in pursuit of...
I just asked you if you condemn the violence against Tesla.
Well, I guess if somebody was to murder a Tesla owner, yeah, I would condemn.
No, the vandalism. Are you against it or not?
I think that's terrible and unproductive.
So it's only murder you care about. You don't care about any other crimes.
What,
arson's fine, is it?
No, I didn't
Arson
say that.
Is fine.
I literally didn't say that.
So would you condemn? So do you condemn the arson? Do you condemn the arson attacks on Tesla?
This is a Twitter convo IRL. I don't really like waffles. Oh, so you hate pancakes? Gotcha.
Yes or no?
Ridiculous. Do I condemn what? Do
Why
I condemn
do you find this
arson?
funny?
Because
yeah, she's dodging questions like Neo in the Matrix.
These are just absurd questions. I was literally just on this program.
Tesla's literally been subjected. Tesla has been subjected to a load of arson attacks. Chuck Schumer couldn't bring himself to condemn it. Will you condemn the arson attacks on Tesla? Yes or no?
Let me explain why people are turning to these means. The reason people are attacking Tesla.
You can't do it, can you? You cannot do it.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should.
It's actually fascinating.
Literally,
She cannot just say it with her chest. Picking a side or standing on business or having an original thought is impossible.
And what do you want me to say, Piers?
It's
You are so
fascinating.
obsessed with the exact language. I don't condemn people going out
Well,
and
let me ask you
vandalizing-
this. Let me ask you this then. Do you condemn the arson attack on Governor Josh Shapiro's residence? Yes or no?
Well, of course I don't think people should arson attack
Of
people's
course.
residences. But
Of course, because he's a Democrat governor. Now you can find it in
hate
yourself
Josh
to
Shapiro.
condemn
What
an
are you talking
arson
about?
attack
Support-
because it involves
Piers,
an
I hate
attack
the Democrats
on a
more than you.
Democrat. But when it's an arson attack on Tesla forecourts, they could have killed people. You don't care. It's
Josh
the
Shapiro
system.
is a
And by the
person.
way, you understand
Teslas are
why people
cars.
don't like Elon Musk. You've literally exposed
Shapiro is a
yourself in the
person.
most priceless manner imaginable.
Josh Shapiro
You've been pierced by Morgan.
is a human being. Teslas are cars. By the way, again, you are ignoring the fact that one of the biggest
Yeah,
memes
there were
on the
Tesla
internet
human
right now
beings
is advocating
working
for the
at the areas
assassination
where they got
of
arson
Trump.
attacked.
Pardon?
Dude, I saw a morbidly obese Rubenesque man on a fat person's scooter ram into a Tesla. That would piss me off to no end. It's so easy to condemn.
Yeah, the truth is you make a political calculation about what you condemn and what you don't condemn. That's the truth.
That's exactly what she's doing.
I don't know. You're obsessed with this like condemnation thing. I'm trying to get you to understand why people are turning to violence.
Yeah,
They're
I
turning
am.
to violence
I really
because
am.
they feel like
I really am.
They feel like then try to understand this, Piers. The reason that people are firebombing Teslas or whatever they're doing is because they feel like Elon Musk has been
Who cares why they're doing it? They shouldn't be doing it.
sort of taken over parts of the government as an unelected billionaire, and they feel that there is no recourse
Wow.
within the
Are you
system
justifying
to-
it again?
No, I'm trying to explain to you why this is happening, which is essential if we want to stop violence, if we want to have a less
And why
violent
do you
country.
think?
if we
Why
want
do you
to
think
elect
Governor
country.
Shapiro's? Why do you think Governor Shapiro's residence was firebombed? Do you
Bro,
think
she can't admit crime equals bad.
there may be some reason why the person did it, which can explain it, which means you don't have to condemn it? No, you just immediately
no.
condemned it without knowing
Piers, these
any
are
of the
not mutually-
motivation for why that person did it.
If you want fewer firebombs at people's residences and you want fewer assassination attempts in America and you want less gun violence, you need to understand why people are feeling
Or just send them to CCOT. Just have Bukele handle it.
the way they do and why they're taking the actions that they do.
Machiavelli speaks on this.
Again, Donnie's special on CNN, Misinformation, does an excellent job of breaking down extremism and how
All right.
people across the political spectrum feel disenfranchised and are turning to violence. So I encourage everyone to watch Donnie's special, Misinformation, on CNN.
Can we just talk about the switch up on the left when it comes to Teslas? Elon used to be their fucking golden boy. He was the face of Reddit incarnate. Electric vehicles. He was the savior. He was Christ himself to many people. And within a matter of 3 months, oh my God, he's a Nazi! Ah! Cringy, for sure. Lied about video games? Pretty psychotic. I just want to know where the energy came from.
And it's a great thing. And please don't say that I support the Democrats, okay? You know that that's not true, and it's just absurd.
I didn't say that. I said the moment it was a Democrat that came under attack, you immediately condemned it, but you couldn't
That is
condemn
not
firebomb
true
attacks
at all. You
on
asked me if I
Tesla
condemned
because it involves
vandalism with
Elon Musk.
cars.
You can't condemn the drooling women who fawn all over a killer because you think there may be something to do with the healthcare system as inspired it all. Tommy,
No one's firebombing their houses. If somebody
Tommy-
was firebombing,
Can't say Luigi is bad, but will say Elon is bad.
Tommy,
I
it's
would condemn
Tommy, it's crystal clear to me that from everyone who watches this, that Taylor's condemnation is a very movable feast, and it depends entirely on the politics behind what she perceives to be the attack and why it's happened. All the drooling.
my God.
Piers, I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because I don't like it when things are taken out of context. It's happened to me before, and I think everyone should get a chance to explain themselves. And I think we've been listening to the explanation for 30 minutes, and it might be worse than the initial clip. So I'm sorry, Taylor. We tried. We tried to give you an out. You didn't take
God,
it.
you
So
guys.
God
Well,
bless
I
free
hope
speech,
that
I
the next
guess.
time
That was actually worse.
when more violence, well, first of all, I'm a huge supporter of free speech, and I hope that you guys can get it through your heads that when more violence happens, I tried to warn you. So I do have to hop and get to another TV appearance, but thank you for having me on, and stay
Yes, the arbiter of truth, Taylor Lorenz.